Another rainy night. Really makes time slow to a crawl. I feel like I've just been standing at this window for a whole year staring out, watching this perpetual pour. Oh, hey everyone, Kappaman here, welcome back. You know, even though it's a rainy night here in old Yokai Town, it's no problem, as I've been sitting on just the thing for such an occasion. You know, this house is full of all kinds of old stuff, and I recently came across a box of fun that'll bring out your inner otaku. Well, unless your inner otaku is already on the outside, then in that case it'll just bring your innards out. No, that's gross. Anyways, it's just down the hall, so come on, let's find it. Okay, it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark in here. What do we got? Not there. Let's see, manga. No. I don't even have a cat. No. Aha! There we go. Let's take this back to the room. Wait a minute. This is the first episode in a while. I've got to dress appropriately. Hold on a sec. Anyways. Now, this thing is full of old games from Famicom or the Japanese NES all the way up to arcade games. How does all that fit in here? Anyways, I'm going to ignore logic for the sake of lazy storytelling convenience. Here, let's start off with an oldie. Yeah, how about this one? Ninja Jaja Maru-kun. Now, how am I going to play this? Yeah. Initially released in 1985, it follows the adventures of Jaja Maru-kun, the brother of Ninja-kun, a star of other Famicom titles. When their princess is kidnapped, it's up to Jaja Maru-kun to save her, as Ninja Kid is off on another adventure. Each stage consists of 4 floors that our ninja hero can climb up by breaking through the floor and jumping up. At the top is the kidnapped princess being held by the evil Damazu-dayu, who is apparently related to Sagat by the looks of it. However, these two are unreachable, and instead it's up to the player to ascend each floor and take on the ghosts and yokai that try to stop him. The first stage is full of what appears to be some kind of female ghost, or maybe Yuki-onna, or maybe they're a variation on the Chinese Kyonshi. It's hard to say. Anyways, you have to defeat these enemies and collect their souls to move on to the next stage. Here things are looking a bit more yokai-like, with an old Japanese house and, oh, what's this? A tengu has entered the fray. Now as you move up each floor, the enemies become harder, but there are power-ups hidden in the floorboards that you break, and Princess Sakura will occasionally drop rose petals, which kinda look like her underwear, to be honest. Which if you collect all 3, you'll have a chance to do battle with fake Sagat in a bonus stage and rescue the princess. If you manage to collect all the power-ups, you'll gain use of a giant frog to jump into doing even more damage. There's only a few stages repeated, but there is a nice variety of yokai and creatures in this, like the Kasa Obake, Hitotsume Kozo, and some skeleton men. This one's a fun arcade-style game that can go on and on for quite a while, and it kind of harkens back to the day of single-screen-style adventures. Anyways, let's see. Next up is another Famicom title, Gegege no Kitaro Yokai Die Macchio, which was turned into the generic Ninja Kid in the West. Starting off in an overworld map, you move around the title character, Kitaro, star of the popular yokai manga series, and enter one of the buildings by walking over it. This brings you into a side-scrolling platformer level where you'll instantly die if a single thing touches you. 3 strikes and you're out, I'm afraid. This is one of those brutal, unforgiving Famicom titles that chiseled gamers into relentless ADD-addled machines back in the 80s. Oddly enough, each time you get a game over, it seems the overworld map changes a bit, moving around the locations at random. Anyways, there's many of the classic Kitaro characters in this, all out to see that you don't make any progression. What good friends. I have to say though, this game does have some great title screen music. Despite the slippery controls and difficulty, it is a fun game and worth it for fans of the show. Now, there's a slew of Kitaro games on almost every system, but I'm only going by what I got in the box. Alright, next up is a Game Boy cart based on the adventures of Momotaro called Momotaro Thunderbolt. Let's take a look at it thanks to the magic of the Super Game Boy. Made by Hudson Soft with the B seal of approval, we take control of Momotaro on his adventure to bash anything in sight with peaches. Well, that's taking his name literally. As he travels from level to level, he tosses peaches at enemies, creating even bigger peaches that can be carried around and tossed at enemies or climbed on to get different items. These items can turn Momotaro into a monkey, a cat, or a bird, giving him extra abilities. You can even do this for some reason. But be careful, if he gets hit, well, now I'm playing as a naked kid. Can I get some clothes back? Even moving from one area to the next doesn't dress me again. Can I show this? How old is this kid? The yokai part comes into play with the enemies, like the Oni in the first stage, as well as a snow level that has a Yuki-onna tossing giant cubes of ice. I'm sure there must be more yokai in there somewhere, but he's still naked, and quite frankly it's making me uncomfortable, so let's move on. Now, onto some Super Famicom games. Let's start with one character that's gotten tons of games over the year, Goemon. This one, released in 1991 by Konami, is a mix of quasi-top-down fighting and shopping, as well as traditional platforming. Taking place in old Japan, you control Goemon as he beats up everyone he meets, from flute-playing monks to angry police to samurai, fishermen, and even the fish. But don't hit this lady. No, that takes points away. Just touch her gently. Anyways, you run around town collecting money and scrolls, which can be used in the shops to buy upgrades like better geta and food, and collecting the porcelain cats will get you a longer pipe or even a yo-yo attack, and so on. This all seems standard enough, but when you move on a little, the town transforms into a haunted street with ghosts floating around. Although there is this oddly modern shop in the middle of it. Weird. Goemon leaves the town, and a tanuki informs him that past this point, things are going to get serious. And beyond here is where the real yokai begin, with samurai skeletons, living flames, and kasaobake. Most of the yokai stuff is just in this first area, but if you've got the patience, it's worth a try, especially if you like games seeped in that old Japanese culture. You can also do this, just like Momotaro. What's with these games? At least he's not naked. You know, Goemon is based on a real guy. Yeah, as legend has it, he was a Robin Hood type fellow, taking gold from the rich and giving it to the poor. Of course, his stories have been embellished over the years, but there's some basis in real history. Apparently, he lived from 1558 to 1594, only around 35 years old when he died. How'd that happen? Let's see here. I think I've got something on him. Yeah, okay. Oh, he was boiled alive in public, along with his son. I wonder if that made it into any of the games. Moving on. Here we have, in my opinion, one of the best yokai-related games, Kiki Kai, or as it's better known in the West, Pocky and Rocky. This basically plays out as a shoot-'em-up, but instead of being in a spaceship, you're controlling one of two characters, a shrine maiden named Sayo, or a tanuki named Manuke, each with a different set of attacks. Sayo throws Ofuda, a type of protective amulet sold in shrines, and Manuke throws leaves. As they collect additional items, these attacks power up. Each level is packed to the brim with enemies, most of which are yokai related. I'd be here all day if I listed each one, but as you can see there's quite a few, all rendered wonderfully in colorful detailed sprites. They even have a whole river dedicated to Kappa. Come on, the Kappa are tough in this. Oh no. Come on. You know, this game has a 2-player mode, which might make things a little easier, eh? Just a second. Honey, you down there? I could use your help. I wish I knew how you did that. Come on up here, let's play. All right, here you go. Let's do it. As the story goes, the yokai are being controlled by an evil being, and eventually it's up to you two to rescue them and put a stop to this evil. Now actually, this isn't the first in the Kiki Kai series. It began as an arcade game back in 1986, but the Super Famicom version is basically like a remake that improves on every feature, so it's worth skipping the original and going straight to this one. But be prepared to hunker down and practice, as this is the type of game that takes memorization and careful movement. Playing 2 players does help things out a bit, but watch out for the Nintendo greed, as you'll be sharing the available power-ups and health drops, but the game isn't too stingy on them. There's also a sequel, Pocky and Rocky 2, or Kiki Kai Tsukyo Soshi, which is basically more of the same, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It does change things up by adding additional characters that can help the main two, and things like little shops here and there. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? What's that, my dear? Oh, right, of course. Since we brought up arcade games, there's one more entry worth mentioning, isn't there? In 1992, there was a game released called Fujiyama Buster, or Shogun Warriors in the West. Now, to be honest, this isn't a very good game, although it does contain a kappa. Oh jeez, that thing's ugly. Well, aside from him, there's not too many other yokai-related things, and as far as arcade fighters go, this isn't much to write home about. However, this did lead to a sequel called Oedo Fight, or Blood Warrior in English. piggybacking on the success of Mortal Kombat, some of the same characters from Shogun Warriors return here, but in fully digitized, ultra-gory glory. It's amazing how much blood each character spills. If these people would just donate some blood, the local hospitals would never run out. This is especially funny when you see how cartoonish some of the costumes and settings are. Oh, and there's Goemon again. I guess this one's based more on the real guy. I wonder if he has a boiling alive fatality. It's impressive how much work they put into the outfits. Especially the Kappa. He's looking much less freakish in this one. Although I still wouldn't say he looks as good as me. It's even complete with finishing moves, cutting characters in half, and all sorts of gore. They're looking rather upbeat for having just witnessed a horrible murder. Anyways, give it a shot if you can find it. I happen to know that there's a couple arcades in Osaka that have it. It's pretty fun. But I guess that's it. Now, I know there's a lot of games I didn't show here, but with how many yokai make appearances in games, it would be impossible to list them all. And I'm sure someone's going to bring up the obvious Yokai Watch games, but to be honest, I know very little of that series, as it's aimed at a much younger demographic, and Kappaman wasn't born yesterday, you know. Although, I am still quite young. So, see you next time for a regular episode of Yokai Tales, where we'll take a look at the viewer-requested Nurarihyon. See you then! And as for you, my dear, Dr. Kappaman's making a house call, and it looks like you've got a serious case of the cleavage. I'll take care of that for you. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a yokai you'd like to see me cover on the show, please let me know in a comment below or any of the various places around the web linked in the description. See you next time.